Yeah, how's it going? Today is 9th of January, Thursday, and we're gonna be taking a look at the market, what kind of opportunities we can find. In today's video, we're gonna begin by taking a look at what's happening in UK with regards to food, which should be very important, in particular if prices gonna be increasing if not into distant future. And I haven't read this article, perhaps. We're gonna read these two articles, right? That's with regards to food and if prices would be increasing, perhaps if there is anything that can be done so it would increase a lot, right? Perhaps by 20%. Let's hope it won't gonna increase by 20%, right? From there, we're gonna be progressing into Europe. We're going to be taking a look at some of the developments when it comes to tanks and all different systems, perhaps helicopters, right? From there, we're going to be touching on some of the systems, right? From there, we're going to be taking a look at SMRs, so small modular reactors, and perhaps how those would be placed into ships or tests. I was trying to understand the developments, fuel, right? So if some of the ships, I know perhaps container ships or similar ships, would have those reactors, how often they would be needed to be fueled? Would that be every 8 years or something? I don't know yet. So perhaps there might be some information available, right? First, let's begin by taking a look at UK and what's happening with food, right? Government announces reform to boost profits for farmers with a cast iron commitment to food production. Okay, let's try to understand it right. Environmental Secretary to set out his vision to boost farmers' profitability and more sustainability as a part of a plan for change. There's a lot of things happening. For people who are interested, perhaps they should be taking a look at food strategy. Food strategy highlights how much of the food should be grown locally and how much food should be imported. Perhaps, if anything, we're reflecting if we're following a strategy where things should be and where things are, right? Since there's a food prices can go down very easily if we would import a lot more food, but by expense of local farmers, right? So price can go down, but not necessarily that they will. Anyway, first step towards government to use its own purchasing power to buy British food. Okay. Government to consider new reforms to speed up the planning process of the farms to boost food production. There might be names or company names. I haven't read any of this information. I'll try my best skipping all that information, right? Secretary of State for Environmental, Food and All Rural Affairs, or let's keep name, will today, Thursday, 9th of January, today's date, set out the government's long-term vision to make farmers more profitable and will put more money back in the pockets of the British farmers. Speaking to the farmers and all land owners at the Oxford Farming Conference, we have read this speech. We have read it, and it was, if for people who are interested, it was perfectly highlighted where things are. There was a lot of pushback that the government wasn't gonna stick to that. So there's also a lot of things going on. But government is listening for feedback. If anything in that speech, you can tell that government is listening. But anyway, we'll set out the government will work with farmers to deliver the profitable farming sector and unlock rural growth. This will include a cast iron commitment to food security while introducing reform to help farmers diversify the income streams to support the during the per harvest. Per harvest, perhaps that's something that may or may not happen because of the weather pattern changes. So it will be heat waves or cold waves that may or may not happen. A lot of water, rain, all those kind of things, or flooding that might affect. So let's try to understand it. That will be speaking to the farmers and landowners of Oxford Farming Conference. Since we were already reading conference, we have read it. So if we're gonna be referring to this conference, we already read it. So I'm not sure. Perhaps I can share some of the information, but let's progress and let's take a look at different sources. Since food would be very important, let's spend a little bit more time on the subject if we can. Perhaps other sources and how they would cover this topic, right? Today's date, that would be 9th of January, and that would be food for public sector to be monitored to see how much is grown in the UK. Environmental Secretary says Labour is aiming to for half of the food producers, food procured for the public sector to come from British farms. Okay, okay, that might be a very hard thing to do, right? But anyway, food suppliers to be public sector will be monitored for the first time to see how much was grown by British farmers. Environmental Secretary is to announce. There might be some names. So perhaps when it comes to contracts, right? I know where government can do more for local businesses. While everyone's thinking globally, perhaps we might as well thinking how to support local farmers, right? I guess, or at least this is when the information is available, right? That would be again the same conference, Oxford Farming Conference is on Thursday, and then attempt to reset his relationship with farming sector after tumultuous. I don't know. I don't know these people. I don't know backstory. I don't know backstory. I know thing or two about this sector. I don't know backstory. Farmers have been angry about issues including change to the inheritance tax. Okay, cuts to EU delivered subsidies and all delays to flood payments and all submerged farms. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening with the temperatures and all climate overall. The sector has been asking for meaningful reforms to supply chain, as farmers are currently paid just a penny for every loaf of bread. Okay, okay, this is what they're saying. I don't know its details. For people, if we can take anything away from today's video, perhaps they should consider where and what kind of grocery stores they're purchasing from, where they're purchasing, if they're not overpaying for anything. First, and there might be a lot of things, right? So if there's a lot of processes that can take place, and perhaps government can also do more. But I don't know if this statement is correct. But perhaps people should get paid, right? Anyway, or block off the cheese sold, as well as support of the business and all climate breakdown cause problems such as drought and floods. Okay, okay. Perhaps a couple more statements, and we're gonna progressing since there's too many articles today to cover. Let's progress without names. Will announce the Labour is aiming to half of the food production to the public sector to be from British farms, which will be worth 2.5 billion a year to farmers. He will also announce plans to make it easier for farms to put solar panels on the rooftops and all wind turbines at the bottom of the fields. Okay, sure. As well as to deregulate the planning system so farmers can more easily build barns and all other infrastructure, right? Okay, so they might be looking to reduce cost of operating entire farm or systems, right, within the farms. Would that be lighting, depending on what kind of farm we're taking a look at, right? But it's good that the government is taking a look at it, right? Let's progress. Let's take a look at other developments. Let's begin by taking a look at Lithuania. That Lithuania to make advance payment for German tanks to be delivered by 2030 within the next 5 years. Lithuania plans to make advance payment this year to the German-made Leopard tanks it is buying for its military, which will enable delivery by 2030, according to Defense Ministry. Yes, we're currently planning to make. I'm not trying to make perhaps voice anything. Perhaps briefly we can take a look at what would be roughly the cost of one platform, right? What would be the cost? An entire order might be 44 platforms, right? Which is massive. I believe it might be in billions, and it would be roughly about 1.3 billion or so. That's sums of money that all contracts we're taking a look at, right? The minister said in an interview, "Oh no, okay, it will mean that we should have it, okay, by 2030, okay, which should be important." In December, Lithuania committed to purchase 44 Leopard platforms, right? Let's perhaps that's only most likely that's the only information that's available, as well as additional information that would be we'll also discussing other platforms, looking at how we can move up certain quarries. Okay. She has previously mentioned the possibility of advanced payments for tracked infantry fighting vehicles. According to the minister, additional funding throughout the borrowing allows the advance payments for. Okay. Borrowing is never a good idea, but sure. Next year, government budget earmarks about 2.9 billion euros, or just over 3% of GDP for defense. However, the new government increased the 2025 borrowing limit by roughly 800 million euros, which could bring military spending to 4%. Purchasing this or any platform is just an initial step, since you need to maintain it, train it, personnel against this platform. So as well as all the ammunition, we were taking a look at who has all intellectual property, who can manufacture. So while purchasing some vehicle, you're actually purchasing the entire lifespan of that vehicle. Would that be 10, 20 years, as well as all personnel trained against that? We were taking a look at some of the developments that's happening in Poland, where they're purchasing tractor manufacturing facilities, and they're building their own sashes, frames, suspensions. They're building, or engines, I believe that was in the article, right? They're building their own. So would that be? And we're taking a look at potentially orders that will be worth in billions. So I hope that everyone have seeked for advice before making purchase decisions worth in billions. Let's take a look at the next article. Briefly, right? We won't be able to cover all articles in necessary detail, right? Something that will be published 7th of January about the National Guard Spartan Brigade receives 155mm Dita. That might be the name of this project, or it might be already developed. It seems interesting the way how it would be built, since it would be focused on mobility and shoot and scoot. I believe that's inspiration a lot of people were using, where you have wheels, not necessarily tracks, but anyway, self-propelled artillery. The artillerymen of the Spartan Brigade of National Guard have received a 155mm wheeled Dita self-propelled artillery system. Corresponding video. Okay, there's a video of it. If people are interested in perhaps searching it, how it would shoot and scoot. It is reported to be a brigade and has already used in Czech self-propelled artillery system at the front line. Okay. Let's forget. Overall, it's kind of interesting the way how entire system would be developed. I don't know about the weight of the cannon. What would be the weight and how the cannon would be able to balance itself. Overall, it's a very interesting project, if anything. Let's take a look at next project, something that will be published 7th of January very recently. That will be some of these companies unveiled design of Proteus uncrew rotorcraft technology demonstrator. Okay. As of now, this particular platform doesn't seem to have a lot of capabilities, but perhaps at some point a lot of capabilities can be attached to these platforms. There might be a lot of reasons why people might need to have this or very similar capabilities. It's still a new thing to me. There's a lot of things going on. Key design elements include an innovation modular payload bay. Okay, so perhaps lifting a payload. Let's progress with our names. It's using advanced digital design and manufacturing technologies in development of Proteus, including digital twin for static development. Okay. Exactly. I thought the first thing that I was taking a look at this platform. There's more things going on. More than 40 components manufactured with advanced composite materials and more use of the AI in control software. Okay, now that's what we're really taking a look at. Picture, not necessarily. The picture doesn't say much. There's what's been hidden under the picture. Right? The fast-moving program will see the first flight of the new rotorcraft in the mid 2025, following contract award in June 2022. We were, I believe, we were taking a look at some information that was made available for public. But overall, perhaps we can touch on overall cost, right? That would be in addition to innovative technologies, this project is also utilizing Proteus program to transform its approach to collaboration with customers and our users. The company is drowning in agile methodology. Okay, okay. Okay. Usually, these names are terrible, but anyway, that breaks the project into phases and emphasis continuous collaboration and improvement. This closer collaboration between this project and all the other partners has enabled the 75 million euros. Okay, perfect project initially contracted in 2022 to move forward at pace with demonstration on track to fly on our first time in mid 2025. Hopefully, they can succeed. Since perhaps a lot of partners they're taking a look at better and new ways of how to develop entire project. I believe that's what we're actually taking a look at: how to develop the project, not necessarily project itself. I don't know if that makes sense. Let's take a look at the next article that might be important, as well as we were why we're taking a look at this particular article, because we were taking a look at finances and food expenditure within UK, and they had very similar concepts that author of some of the articles we're taking a look at. So just based on that, we can take a look at some of these concepts they may or may not be referring to. That would be Turkey to counter Israeli Iron Dome with the Steel Dome air defense system. Overall, in the picture, that would be different layers and what and how many layers that might be available up there and how many platforms we are taking a look at from command center, which I believe we can take a look at perhaps some of these platforms right down would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 roughly in addition to flying platforms, right? Massive amount of platforms, by the way. There's so much engineering, so many hours. Sometimes just to develop brake system for some of those platforms, it can take 40 people just a brake system. 40 people. And this is how many vehicles we're taking a look at our platforms, right? By the way, I'm reading all this information for the first time. I haven't read this article. There might be a lot of names, perhaps project names or company names. I'll try to skip all that information. We will be briefly touching on some of the important points, and we're going to be progressing, right? Turkey has launched an ambitious program aimed at developing a layered air defense system that rivals. Okay. I don't think we need to compare. I don't believe we need to compare anyone to anyone and will bring or get political. I don't think that should be important. But author of this article decided to get political and will compare things. So I'll prefer skipping all that information. It's good that all the governments considering developing their own capabilities. That should be important. But anyway, called Steel Dome. The system will reportedly feature artificial intelligence to detect and neutralize threats from all altitudes and all ranges. It would also enable the seamless integration of sensors and weapons into a single network to form anti-all-weather security umbrella, according to the statement from the President of Defense Industries. You know, artist and all rendering shared by the Still Dome concept future Turkey's there might be a name of the projects, as well as very recently some other governments were taking a look at for example India were taking a look at how they could support SMEs to tackle some of these projects themselves, since they might have manpower. They're referring to India right now, and they can build all those systems themselves instead of purchasing those systems, right? So instead of comparing one system to another, perhaps other governments are considering how to build their own systems and how to perhaps then sell some of those systems. I believe that might be more important than any other points mentioned by whoever is writing this article, right? The graphic also shows the layered air defense system will be linked to you and all satellites throughout the Turkish-made components known as T-Link, right? Let's close on that and let's progress and let's touch on the last article. Let's take a look at the last article by House Studio. It's gonna be very, very long, but anyway, it's something that will be published 7th of January 2025. That will be 3 SMRs selected for evaluation in ship propulsion study. The initial phase of Norway's, or no, there might be names in an initiative which is evaluating Generation 4 small modular reactors technology for the viability or commercial shipping applications has concluded with 3 SMRs technologies being selected for further evaluation in the next phase. Okay, great. Shipping overall shipping industry would be very, very important, if not right now, in the future. Perhaps I don't know how much information will be available, but as well as perhaps other governments right now, they're taking a look at engines and perhaps alternative ways of powering a lot of systems, right? There might be a lot of reasons why some governments might choose some of the technology that they are familiar with. Norway do have license to work with SMRs, but they, as of now, not necessarily have any nuclear power plants, right? Perhaps that's the name of the project. Is being funded by Research Council of Norway alongside Norwegian shipbuilder. Part the project is supported by prominent partners, including the Norwegian University of Science Technology, Class Society, DNV, and Norwegian Marine. Okay, there's a lot of institutions. I don't know any of these institutions. I'm just happy that there's a lot of very interesting engineers who are tackling very big problems. That's the only reason why I'm reading this article. I don't know any of these companies or people, as well as a Spanish nuclear consultancy. Okay, okay, so perhaps independent body, right? So last one, independent body, just to oversee, so everyone we don't have any fireworks or anything, right? What said the primary contribution involves integration these reactor systems into various vessel types, assessing the technological challenges and enable the future commercial use of the nuclear power ships. The ultimate purpose of the research program is to develop commercially viable zero emissions technology for deep sea ships as satisfies all stakeholders and requires no subsidies after the initial development process. During the phase 1 of the project, which began in 2003 and ended on 31st of December, a total of 99 companies developed advanced reactor technologies were assessed. The main purpose of this project is to adjust Generation 4 SMRs to the need of international shipping. The technology starting point was already approved, design at 25 or to up to 55 megawatts. The nuclear technology itself was studied, but also regulatory issues, safety issues, and ship design implications, maintenance, handling, and all radioactive rest material and no crew requirements. Okay, okay. All complexity. Myself, I might be interested in particular issues that they would like to tackle, right? Ward has announced that the 3 prominent SMR designs have been selected for more in-depth assessments of no pro. Okay, so that but that's a second phase potentially that they're taking a look at, which will run over the next 2 years. This phase aims to develop workable prototype solutions while this project will be tested. Selected technologies are okay, okay. So that's perhaps some of the developments of USA based. I'll try to skip names. I don't think it's relevant since we're still taking a look at new projects, right? Fluoride, high temperature molten salt reactor. Okay, okay. As well as other projects. I'll try to skip those as well as. Okay, there's another USA company as well as I can see Sweden perhaps taking a look at. But as of now, we're potentially taking a look at engines, I believe, and how engines would be structured. So it would be optimal engine that they would go with, right? Just closing this article, that will be the second phase of this particular project will expand the consortium to include insurance companies, okay, or critical step for evaluating the business availability of nuclear technology in the shipping industry. It's kind of interesting because insurance prices have increased. They have doubled. So perhaps it's been recognized by industry that some of these insurance companies have doubled all the prices, right? The shipping industry, depending, there's more to uncover when it comes to the doubling prices, since some of the areas of shipping and risk involved, all those kind of things, right? But anyway, the shipping industry consumes some of the 350 million tons of fossil fuels annually, and all accounts for about 3% of total worldwide carbon emissions in July 2003. The shipping industry, yeah, okay. I thought we'll be touching on how much this particular project costs as well as some of the benefits, but as of now, perhaps not enough testing has been completed. Thanks for watching. See you next one.